Hey guys, how's it going? So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about sort of how the album that I'm working on has evolved over the last couple months and really over the last year. When I set out to make my first album, I had a group of songs that I had written before I started the YouTube channel that I sort of envisioned to be on the first album. What made me ultimately change my mind about starting with those songs was because I guess in my head I had this plan of, all right, the first album is gonna be these older songs, and then I'm gonna also work on the second album, which is gonna be all of these newer songs that I've been working on the last year as I've been working on this channel. So that was the initial plan. But I had a gig, and at that gig I played my song Interstellar, and I had people asking me where they could find it. And I had this sort of moment of like, oh man, people are interested in the newer stuff, which is understandable because I think that most of the newer songs, they're more catchy and they're written better and they sound a bit better than the older stuff. Not that the older stuff is necessarily bad, but it's just not really who I am anymore at this point. And so I started thinking about like, oh, well, maybe I should do Interstellar and just put it on the first album. But I got to thinking even more. I realized I wasn't super passionate about the first album. I was kind of just going through the motions. You know, I was learning how to use the program with those songs, but ultimately I was just trying to get through them so I could start working on the songs that were more recent, because those were the ones that I was more confident about, and I honestly just liked them better. Between people asking about Interstellar and me having that realization that I was just kind of rushing through the first album so I could work on what was going to be the second album, I decided, you know what, I'm going to hold off on the older songs. I'll do those some other day down the line, and I'm just going to start working on the newer songs. So that's kind of how I got to the point of, all right, I'm going to do these newer songs rather than the older songs first. And I think I'll have more fun working on them anyway, because in the moment, I'm more passionate. And that was the reality of it. As soon as I started working on the newer songs, I was like, okay, this feels a lot easier to work on because the ideas were fresher and the sort of creative flow was coming a lot easier to me. I didn't really have that many moments while working on this album that's coming out where I was thinking, oh man, I don't know about this song, or I don't know about this line, you know, stuff like that. Like problems that I was having with the older songs. I made a video a couple months ago where I had talked about struggling with a song that I had done the entire mix for. It was pretty much done. It was probably going to be one of the singles off the first album, but I was having a lot of issues with the lyrics and not relating to them and feeling like, you know, depending on how you read into them, they could come across like a way that I didn't necessarily agree with. And in that video, I talk about how a lot of the older songs were mostly improv when it came to the lyrics, and, you know, I made tiny changes, but I didn't really change that much. When I had written them, I was more concerned about just making a song rather than like making a good song, because I didn't really know what I was doing. It was just a bunch of different things, and so what was gonna be the first album, I decided to hold off on. I think my plan for those songs is to probably do some kind of acoustic only album for those songs. Maybe not even a full album, maybe just an EP or something, I'm not sure. I haven't thought about that too much yet, but with the album I'm working on now, everything is going smooth. I'm almost done with it at this point. Like I said, my plan is to have it come out on May 1st, so that's coming up pretty quick, and I'm trying to stay on top of everything. That's all I really wanted to talk about with you guys today, sort of how the album that I'm working on has evolved over time. And I can talk about it a little bit more once the album's actually out and you guys have more context for everything. But for now, I guess, you know, this kind of works. Other than that, song of the week, I want to do a song by the band Alvvays. They're this Canadian band that I've been listening to probably since I was like 14 or 15. I love that band. I think they're really, really great. It's sort of like a dreamy, almost like a 70s pop vibe kind of thing. Without that band, I never would have met one of my best friends who also is doing the album art for the album coming out. So, you know, it's a good band. Make friends with it. But the song I want to recommend to you guys is Archie, Marry Me. It's off their first album. I think it's probably their biggest single. Not that their other songs are any worse. The whole first album is perfect. I recommend the band, and I recommend that song, Archie, Marry Me. That's about it from me, guys. There's going to be a link in the description for that song, and I'm also going to have a link in the description for my single Interstellar. It's the first single for the album coming out May 1st. And what else? Like and subscribe and comment and all of the things like that. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and I hope you have a great day. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut. Bye.